All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-through. Special shout out to computers that work. It's always nice when that happens. Okay, I think we are going. Hopefully this video works right. We're just going to help you follow the directions on this 5556 review worksheet. Your quiz on Friday will look very similar to this. It will be just a little bit shorter in case that you are not using your graphing calculator to do these, okay? So, what do they want? In number 1 and 2, they want us to write down the possible answers, the possible roots. So what we do that is we make a fraction. On the top of the fraction, again, are all the factors of 24. They had to pick that one. So you got plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, 4, 6, 8. Oh, I know I'm running out of room. 12. I'm just going to write over this stuff. Let's see. And 24. Okay? All of those would be plus or minus. Write it however you can. On the bottom are all the factors of the number in front of the leading coefficient, so that's plus or minus 1. Okay? In number 2, you've got 12 as this one, and you've got 2 as this one. So the possible rational roots would be plus or minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 over plus or minus 1 and 2. Okay? And just so you, again, the last thing I want you guys to do is just repeat what I do. So I want you to understand what the heck you're doing. Again, before graphing calculators, you would have to test all of these until you figured out which ones gave you 0. That's the rational root theorem. Okay? It is no longer necessary because we have graphing calculators. All right, so number 3, using the fundamental theorem of algebra, find the number of complex roots. Don't worry about that number, that word complex. I think it's kind of unnecessary. The number of roots. How many possible imaginary and real roots could this thing have? Well, that just depends on this number right here, and I actually can't read that on my PDF. So what does that say? Of 5. So there are 5 possible roots. And for number 3, that's a 4. Okay? So don't get those wrong on the quiz. Those are kind of free ones. And now it instantly gets harder. And now we have to use our graphing calculator. So essentially, there will be some of these on your test or on your quiz. It's kind of a big quiz. Some of these that only have real solutions, so you'll be able to find all of them on your graphing calculator. So I believe that's what number 5 is. So let's go ahead and get our graphing calculators out. I'm going to pause this video while I open mine up. All right, so hopefully you can see this window here. And we're going to type in our equation. Y equals x cubed. I should have left that there. Minus x squared minus 16x plus 16. Graph it. And again, this is an even easier version because they're hitting at whole numbers. We were expecting 3 answers, and it looks like there's an answer at negative 1, 2, 3, at negative 4, positive 1, and positive 4. So those are our answers. That's all you got to do. It was negative 4, positive 1, and positive 4, right? I don't. Come on now, peeps. Come on. Okay. All right, so you would do 6 very similarly to that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some from the back. All right, so now this says 9x cubed plus 39x squared plus 10x minus 8. So we go back to our calculator. Okay, so I put this in my calculator. Graph it. I'm expecting 3 solutions to this problem. And it looks like all 3 are on there. Okay, so 1 would be negative 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to test that with the water bug just in case. So second trace, zeros. Enter. Enter. Guess. Okay, negative 4 is one of our answers. There it is. Negative 0.6 repeating is another answer. You could also write that as negative 2/3. Hopefully you guys recognize that as 2/3. Okay. Do that again. And 0.3 repeating is the other one, or 1/3. So both those would be good ways to write the answers. Let's find one that we have to use some synthetic division and quadratic formula on. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So here's number 12. We've got y equals x cubed minus 5x squared plus 16x minus 80. Okay, so here's the tough situation. We only have one real root, and it looks like it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we know that one of our answers is 5, and the other 2 are imaginary. So what we have to do is make this thing into a quadratic. So if you have a 5, and then we write down a 1, a negative 5. Does that say 16? And a negative 80. Make some space, bring down the 1. Remember, we better get a 0 there or we're doing something wrong. Good. Okay? So what we have left is x squared plus 0x plus 16. Okay? My recommendation is just to go to the quadratic formula on this, although you could also say x squared equals 16 and x equals plus or minus 4i. But in general, this will always work. X equals minus b, so minus 0 plus or minus big square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16 all over 2a. So 2 times 1 is 2. So it's the square root of negative 64 over 2. So it's negative plus or minus 8i over 2. So plus or minus 4i are your other two solutions. Okay? So 13 will be one for you to try that's like that. Now let's do one more real challenging one together. And that'll be number 14. Okay? Write a third degree polynomial function. Well, it only gives us two roots. And this is the trick. Since radical 2 is an answer, so is negative radical 2. That is called the rational root theorem. Okay? So we start. Now here's the trick on these. You want to multiply your weird ones together first. And then multiply your real one third. So if you have imaginary, I shouldn't say real. If you have imaginary or irrational numbers, put those in your first two brackets or parentheses, okay? Now we're going to FOIL this. So x times x is x squared. X times radical 2 is x radical 2. First outer, inner, minus x radical 2. That's nice because those are going to cancel. Okay? And then negative times a positive is a negative. A radical 2 times a radical 2 is a radical 4, and a radical 4 is just 2. So that's what you get with what was in blue. And then we multiply that whole thing times x plus 3. So we end up getting x squared minus 2 times x plus 3. Now we FOIL that again. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. Excuse me. Minus 2x minus 6. And there is your answer. Okay? I'll put the solutions to the rest of these up on the Blackboard page. And you guys just keep hustling at it. Tomorrow you'll have Math Excel. And your quiz is Friday. I'll be around to help for the rest of the bell. Boom!